Hi there, everybody. It is Chazra, and yes, we are not looking perfect at camera angles and hair and makeup and so on, because if I were looking for perfection in the sphere of aesthetics, it would be a cold day in hell before I recorded a single image, let alone any conversation. Why am I here? I am here because my contention is that we are on the brink of World War III, and it is scaling up and has the possibility of going to the use of nuclear weapons. And it is at this point that Western people from the West, aside from intelligent people like in my family, because brains, in the family, sort of ancestry and brains and thinking on both sides of my family. And in the background, by the way, those are, yes, heavily ancestrally focused, and that is Miriam. She was a Herero woman, and I remember Miriam, and she certainly saw much more of my father and my aunt and my uncle than she did of me, but I still have memories of her and the paintings by my grandmother Aura, and then there are images from my maternal family, and I get kind of teared up when I think about my family, because there is nothing really that is in me that exists that didn't come through my family. I don't see myself in a Western sense as my own odd creation. I see myself as a sort of a continuation and really a graceful ending to our time of my soul family on this planet, because I cannot deal with insanity and delusions. How am I sure that I am not the one that is delusional? Well, yeah, it's a good question. So I'm going to put it to you, this is the book of the day. I have this mutating book pile where I just get random books that I've piled up because I'm actually still suffering from a concussion. Yeah, almost a year this month. And there are things which sometimes elude me, like remembering how to start my phone or whatever. And then I'll find I've piled up some books with no clear memory as to why I put them there, but then they turn out to be strangely useful. So the terminal paradox. And the terminal paradox for me is, am I insane or is the world insane? And I say it is a happy and felicitous day for me, the day that I am proven to myself to be insane. Insane because that means there's a weight off my shoulders. That means there's somebody I can hand over to. That means somebody knows what they are doing. If, heaven forfend, it turns out that the world is insane and I am the only sane person, well, then I have a very, very difficult job, don't I? How do I convince Western people who absolutely do not even think remotely possibly that there is any chance of World War III turning into a conflagration in front of their doorstep and going nuclear, that this might in fact be exactly the situation we are in? It's very difficult. I thought it would be relatively easy. I thought it would be much easier, to be honest. I thought one could just point to leaders, comments, weapons, military bases, and reality, and people would look at that and go, yeah, that is kind of scary. What? Our president did what? Our prime minister said what? He said what? Yes, yes. Our general said what? Is that what you're saying? Could you provide us with this general who said that war is an interplay between chance and fiction? And indeed I can. I took clips of his astonishing, spectacular display of ineptitude, which was shown on Sky. And when I asked, I'm sure it was on BBC and all of them as well, and when I asked my British friends if they had watched, they said, well, they don't watch mainstream media. And I said, yeah, but you might want to just watch this. And somebody came back to me and said, nah, that's just really boring. Hey, I can't do that. And I went, he said he was going to war with Russia. Are you sure you can't sit through that? He said that war was a clash of wills. And what else did he say? It was a clash of wills. And the interplay between chance, random chance, throw of the dice, and fiction. Fiction, like in this book is not fiction. This book is fiction, but this might be equated more with reality for people today. And if this is the case, then why are we not hearing more about the dangers lurking? And I would suggest that it is a vast-scale anti-Semitism. So there is definitely a bias which prevents people from looking too closely at people with names that suggest that they might be on the wrong side of Vaterland, right? Wrong. Airplane left, right. I don't know. I don't understand the whole left, right thing. It's just yes, it's you've gone so right that you've gone wrong. Okay, so there is a failure to do due diligence and to look at really intelligent minds, and there is also a sense of entitlement that you should be entertained. You should be entertained by information, and it should be given to you in a form that you find appealing and digestible. There mustn't be too many words, it mustn't be too intense, you must have good camera angles, you should stand. So I literally make a video where I've just heard something biblical, cataclysmic has happened. For instance, like the United States and the United Kingdom signed off on the Geneva Convention, which is the treatment of POWs, prisoners of war. You're going to be a nice, civilized country, and you're going to not engage in rules which are there to make sure that you do not abuse prisoners of war in a hostile situation, then you are no longer a civilized country. And so when I hear that and I have alarm bells and I see you going, yeah, so what? Like, it's like never been a problem, has it? I think to myself, oh, well, okay, so we have a very distinct lag. We have a fall off between reality and what is perceived to be reality. So when you are flying a plane, for instance, if you have a lack of situational awareness, if you're a pilot, that can cause you to have an accident. So you will, if you see the horizon where it shouldn't be, and you start to fly the plane in accordance with the fact that the horizon is over there where you perceive it to be, and the horizon is not there, you're going to crash the plane. So in Top Gun, in a fighter aircraft territory, this is known as situational awareness. So when you see there are always two pilots in that situation, there's the one who sits this flying the plane, and the other one is sitting with his back to him. And the reason that they're doing that is so that they can have a very strong visual degree of what interference there might be. So if the enemy aircraft intrudes, it's a better chance if somebody is sitting behind me and looking around than just me looking forward. And and at this point, I'm a spectacular imbecile is going to tell me, oh, that's so obvious. Yes, it is so obvious. It's so obvious that you have forgotten how obvious it is. That this is my problem. And so, where were we? Yes, delusional. So you have gone so far wrong, right, wrong. You don't know what left is. You don't know what right is. You have no situational awareness of reality. So when you say there is no chance of World War III and there is no chance of nuclear weapons, I take it for granted, because I've asked enough people by now, that you are not hearing what I am saying. So sit down, and we are now going to practice hearing and listening comprehension skills. I said we were on the brink of World War III. What does that mean? A world war is one in which major powers clash at various levels, navy, army, air, you know, all the Air Force, the Navy. My father was in the Navy, interestingly enough. Artillery, there are weapons involved, there are casualties, and they happen at an incomprehensible scale. Incomprehensible scale. So World War III, what would the battle lines look like? You have no idea. None whatsoever. None of you have any idea. And then you tell me that I am the one panicking for nothing. And I will tell you right now what the battle lines for World War III are BRICS countries and the West. BRICS countries are Brazil, South Africa, India, and China. Now, if you go and look on a map of the globe, you're going to see that that is a rather large part of the world. And they are in an alliance. And so where you have all these theories about bankers and Zionists and Klaus Schwab and shadowy Pete and the Rothschilds are controlling you and so on, yes, there are these other countries which exist outside of your reality. They don't care what you think, and they don't care about your perceptions about bankers or who runs the world. They honestly don't care, because they are setting up the new Silk Road. So it is not the new world order that is taking over. It is the ancient world order that has been revived. And that is why you see very easy alliances in BRICS countries between what may have been formerly hostile, incompatible ways of seeing the world. They suddenly find they are on the same page. And indeed, I find that I am on the same page, because when I look at the West, I see very many wars with very many people in the name of liberation, and so far nobody has been liberated of anything except their well-being, their lives, their family, their blood, their coal, their gas, their oil, their cobalt, their strategic location. You know, that's what a war of liberation for the West means. So the minute the jingoistic claptrap comes out and we start with a great old patriotic and us versus them, is when I know I have to be extra careful, because people in the West are terminally, never mind the terminal paradox of Kundera, I would say they are terminally deluded. They are delusional. So there is a delusional element in the West that has not been able to take account of the fact that they are really on the brink of World War III. And it seems so very far, because it's just some news anchor in the background, and then it's like some boring old general. Did you hear what the general said? The general said, your general of the United Kingdom, who I have to tell you is a spectacular imbecile. I mean, you could get a Boy Scout could run a platoon better than what he could. This man does not know what he is doing. And could it be malice? Yes, I will go to the Dietrich Bonhoeffer analysis, whereby true evil that is brilliant, scheming evil, is a far better enemy to have than stupidity, because stupid will shoot itself in the face. It's stupid, it cuts off its own nose to spite its face. That is what stupid does. So if only the bankers or some shadowy force, the Zionists, were in charge, well, then Homer Simpson would not be left alone in the nuclear reactor room with the red buttons, and I would feel a lot safer, quite frankly. But as it is, Mr. Burns is not in the picture, and Homer Simpson has eaten too many donuts, and now he is surrounded by all these buttons, including that big red button, which you must not touch, because that will make the whole nuclear thing go into a meltdown, and he is unsupervised and nobody seems concerned. Who do I think would initiate such a war? A nuclear war, which would result in a cataclysmic loss on this earth, and the loss of hundreds of millions of lives. What kind of a madman might consider such a strategy? Well, I look at the leadership of the West, Biden, Boris, clown show, outgoing, who knows what is going to be replaced with, and Canada, Trudeau, and Australia, and honestly, I doubt whether their minders allow them to sort of, take a walk unsupervised, unless they not drink, maybe they drink too much or they forget where they were or something and just can't make it back home. So there would be a mind or somebody to watch over them. However, we do have a political cabal. We do have a political cabal which has midterm elections coming up in America. And so at this point, we do not have a very popular president. And as I said on the 17th of December,